Right, welcome to the very first episode of our podcast, Design Unpacked. We are thrilled to have you here with us today and can't wait to dive into some exciting topics and discussions. The purpose of this podcast is to gain insights from leading experts in the fields of interior design, interior architecture, and furniture design. By interviewing these experts, we aim to explore their experiences, best practices, and lessons learned, and to gain a deeper understanding of what it takes to succeed in a highly competitive design industry. Our goal is to delve into the nuances of FF&E installations and to examine the factors that contribute to their successes or failure. Ultimately, we hope to equip our listeners with knowledge and inspiration to help them achieve their own goals in the design world. So sit back, relax, and get ready to join us on this incredible journey. Let's get it started. Okay, Rob, so thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
Robert Langford, Knapp, is obviously from Robert Langford. And me and Rob actually go back, I'd say maybe almost 9 years when I was working for another company. And now we've been sort of doing a lot of work together recently over the last couple of years since COVID hit. And yeah, so what I would sort of ask you, Rob, is to sort of take it away by just sort of introducing yourself, who you are, what's your company, and introduce yourself to the listeners.
Certainly. My name, as you said, my name is Robert Knapp. The middle name is Langford, which is a family name, which is why the company is called Robert Langford. Also, it sounds a little bit nicer than Robert Knapp, to be honest. And I started the company in 2004. And the goal of it was to sell really decent furniture to interior designers with a minimum of fuss, really. And it's gone from strength to strength. And yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell.
Perfect. Yeah. So when did you decide to come over? Because Robert's also South African, just like me, and we both sort of moved over to London. When did you decide that now is the time for you to leave and come over? And what inspired you to do that?
Well, what happened was the pound hit 10-1 to the rand, and both my partner and I have British passports because we're both first generation.
Right.
And so we decided, well, what the hell? Let's go to London for 5 years and save all our money and go back and live like kings. And
yeah.
And that was what, 24 years ago now. So we left in 1990, as I say, in 1999. And yeah, it was a baptism of fire arriving here, because even though I'm from British parentage, I expected Enid Blyton when I got here, and it certainly wasn't. But I mean,
it is a bit of a shock when you come over from South Africa. It is very different. I mean, South Africa is very beautiful, sunny. Everyone always asks us, why did you move over to the UK? They're always shocked to find out.
Yeah, it's a very, very not a hard. Yes, it is a hard city to make a go of it in. I think it
does take a bit of time. The first sort of 6 months, I generally tell people that you need to just knuckle down and go for it.
It's a tough place, but if you can make it here, then I mean, the opportunities here are unbelievable. I mean, to give you an idea, the first week I worked over a weekend. I went into retail when I got here, and I worked for a company called Fired Earth. And I'd run my own company in South Africa. And the first weekend at Fired Earth, I took more turnover in that weekend than my company in South Africa had taken for the year previously.
That's crazy.
So, it is crazy. I mean, it's just, and that hasn't gone away. I mean, it was the boom time of the late 90s, early noughties. It was really boomy here. But I mean, that's if you're good and you know what you're doing, that sort of market share has not dissipated. I don't think, not one little bit.
Well, that's the thing. The land of opportunity is in London, especially if you compare it to South Africa. It's just 20-1 if you want to.
20-1. Nice going home.
It is when you go home. All right, good. So when you started your own company in London, was it smooth sailing from the beginning, or were there any challenges that you faced from the beginning?
I'd love to tell you yes. No, it was always just no. Good Lord, no, not at all. I mean, I remember I started the company with a business partner, who was the finance side of things. And I remember driving over Albert Bridge one day and him phoning me saying, after about 7 months of hardly any orders, saying, well, we're going to have to knock this on the head. It's not going to work. And I basically bricked myself, to be honest. And I went and sat in a coffee shop with the Warwick rep called Dottie. Back in those days, she was the commercial rep, sobbing into my cappuccino. And basically, I said to him, let's just give it 2 weeks. Let's see what we can do in 2 weeks. And as I got back to my home office, bing, there was an order for 12 sofas, and then there was an order for 4 headboards. Right. It was almost like the floodgates opened slightly. So no, definitely, actually, no year's had smooth sailing at all. There's been challenges every year. There's challenges every month. But I've always believed that if you don't wake up a little bit challenged and terrified, it's not going to be a good day for you.
Exactly. Yeah, there's always going to be those challenges. I think, that's what a lot of people are terrified of, starting off in the beginning, is that fear. But once you can get over that.
Yeah, fear's actually good. It's a good driver.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I'm always taking things on, and I think, how the hell, what have I done? but you just figure it out and you get it done.
There is that saying that people, work better under pressure. Yeah. And it's one of those things that when you start a business, you just know that you're just going to put 110% into it from the beginning, and you're not going to look back. And often when you do that, then the fruits do come.
Yeah, well, I'm still waiting, but no, I shouldn't say that. No, that's going on. You always look at everyone else and you think, their business is amazing.
I know it also paints a picture. When you tell people you run your own business, a lot of people think, oh yeah, you got it really nice, but they don't really sometimes realize the stress that it involves and the responsibility that you never switch off.
No, there was a very interesting discussion that happened in the showroom here in Chelsea Harbour. The other night there was a little party for the various people on our floor.
Oh yes,
buyers on our floor, showrooms, and one of the staff from Taylor House back in the day had just started on her own, and we were all giving her advice. And another designer, James Page, said to her, "What you realise is you'll never ever ever take a holiday again. You'll resent every single holiday, every single bank holiday. You'll hate the fact that you're not being paid to take time off." And it's true. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, it is. It's what you have to do.
But given the opportunity, you wouldn't change a thing.
Oh, good Lord, no, I can't work for anyone.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's quite funny, because my last boss was an amazing woman with a showroom here called Bernie de la Cogne, also South African. And we often sit down and sort of giggle about the fact that we could never work for anyone else, and sort of think of scenarios of how it would happen. So
Bernie de la Cogne, they do a lot of fabrics, don't they?
Yeah, no, it's some of the best fabrics in the world. So yeah, she's an amazing, she's been very inspirational, very helpful to me.
Okay, I didn't know she was also South African.
Yeah.
All right. So did you have any or do you still have any mentors that guided you during your career when you started off? I guess in the design industry and outside of that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I've just mentioned Bernie. She was hugely instrumental in me starting my own business and actually sticking to it. And she's really the type of lady that I could still go to at any time and just say, "Oh God, I don't know what to do," and she'll have an answer. Great. So I also worked for Martin at Andrew Martin, who's a remarkable man and just so inspiring.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about him. He's got a warehouse really close to you now, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I follow him around. I think he followed me to this.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. And he's just an incredible guy, and what a fantastic business. When I worked there, I worked on the showroom floor, and again, a Saturday on the showroom floor was just, the most famous people in the world would walk in and come and buy things, and it was gobsmacking to that little South African boy from Port Elizabeth at the arse end of nowhere.
Yeah.
and this is all happening, which is great. And then a big thing that changed my life in business was going to Cranfield Business College and doing the Small Business Development Growth Program.
Okay.
And that was incredible. I signed up for that. It was it's almost like a small business MBA. But
so was that like, how long was that course?
It was I think it was 6 modules of 6 weekends or 4 weekends.
Okay.
And then what you had to do is you'd write a business plan and present it to your peers. Great. And I'm actually still in touch with quite a few of the people that I did that probably 12 years ago, 13 years ago now. And that is actually when my business started taking off.
Yeah, once you sort of
because
put in that structure in place.
yeah, it taught me how to look at, because I was just, oh, I've got my own business. Oh, this is great. I'm going to go and sell chairs now. But
That's
there
it.
was no structure to it. And that taught me structure and taught me how to. So, I mean, I think Cranfield Business College and the Small Business Development Growth Program is probably the best thing that anybody could ever do.
Well, that's very informative.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing about when you decide, okay, I'm going to start my own business doing X, Y, or Z, people need to understand that it's not just about being good at that. It's also about being good at making a successful business, a profitable business, being
Yeah.
able to sort of manage cash flow, and those kind of things. You think you might be a good people's person, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to make a profitable business.
Yeah,
And that's what you need to be good at.
I love a sale, and back in the day, I'd do anything for a sale, even cut the prices. And then all of a sudden you start looking and you think, oh, so I've cut the price now, and this is what's happening now. And then my factories are clogged with stuff that I'm not making any money out of. And yeah, so it teaches you all of that type of thing. It taught me to grow up in business. And I was very happy that I did it. It was a very, very, very good thing to do. I mean, obviously there are other courses out there. You go to any of your local sort of governments or government departments, etc. They all recommend growth programs for small and medium-sized businesses, and they really are worthwhile looking into.
Yeah, there are so many going nowadays, and I think just any bit of structure. It's just like anything else that you learn online. There's so many free and sort of paid courses you can do online with different kinds of things you're trying to master. But I think sometimes it just takes, sitting down and doing one thing and going with that, and that will be enough. You don't have to learn a million things. You just need to know how to do it right once.
And what I've learned about anything free online is that if there's free, there's no way that you can get any recourse out of it. It's like anything: signing up for a website, signing up for email, anything. If it's free, stay away from it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't do anything for free, so why are other people doing it? That's my thinking behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. So to succeed in selling furniture, which is what you've been doing now for over 20 years, what do you think are the key traits that are essential for individuals who want to sell furniture one day too, especially given the challenges presented by a London market and potentially more demanding clients than outside of the city?
I mean, I can only look at my business, my market share, my little market sector, which I would say is medium to upper business to business, which is, I would say, 95% of our business. We're retail friendly, so we have a sort of the odd retail person popped in, but we're not priced for retail whatsoever.
Okay.
I feel that my marketplace, our customers are project and money rich, and they're time poor.
Yeah,
they're usually running a household. They usually staff 1 to 5 people, and what you need to do is you need to take their pain away. So anybody can sell a chair. Anybody can make a chair. I mean, our chairs are pretty brilliant, but so other people's chairs are pretty brilliant. If you can take the client's pain away, you will have their business. And if they can trust you, I mean, I had this today again, where a customer phoned me. She said, I'm looking at this, but what, I'm going to go for you because I know it'll get there. And we were probably about 15% more expensive, and there was no problem with that. And it wasn't because I was trying to be expensive. It was just they chose a nicer product with us. So I think
what you say is the pains, the biggest pains that you fix for a lot of your clients are interior designers, right?
Yeah. So mostly interior designers and home stage people, property developers, etc. So the pain we take away is that, first of all, if we say we're going to be there on the 9th of March at 4 p.m., we're there at the 9th of March at 4 p.m. If we can't be there on the 9th of March at 4 p.m., they know beforehand. And if by any chance we can't be there that week, there's a plan. We don't phone and say, oh, I'm sorry, we can only be there next week. We phone and say, this is really bad. I'm going to go take something out of my warehouse and put it into place for your customer to use until we can be there. So basically, and do you want me to talk to the customer? Because that's also, a lot of people don't like conflict. And people are scared of conflict until they speak to somebody else. And then all of a sudden the conflict goes away because you actually have a conversation. You're not doing it over WhatsApp or over an email. You're actually speaking to somebody face to face. And at that point, you make them realize, well, I think both people realize it's a piece of furniture. It's not Syria and it's not the Ukraine.
Exactly. And I think sometimes, showing that you are pragmatic and that you're willing to deal with the problem yourself. It goes a long way
Yeah.
with when dealing with clients and B2B.
I would say our industry, there's always going to be problems. It's just, it is what it is. You're dealing with, there's a certain element of bespoke, and you're also dealing with customers' own materials, which will all react differently on different pieces of furniture. You're dealing with deliveries that can be sometimes heavy pieces of case goods that are going up multiple stairs. There's going to be trouble here and there. Of course there is. But as long as you have, my big thing is with our company, and I say to everybody, we sell trust. And we take the pain away. If there's something happening, we don't quibble, we fix. Down the line, we can then sort of speak to our logistics partners, or we can speak to our factory, or we can speak to the fabric house. And, hopefully they'll, and I usually align myself with people that are very similar to what I am. And therefore, we look after each other.
That's it.
If they don't, well, then we don't use them again. But
that's coming down back to the same thing you were saying earlier about cutting prices. Sometimes not working with clients that are not on the same page as you can also be counterproductive, and sometimes it's just not good to carry on those relationships.
If they don't have the same values,
exactly,
then you basically, they need to be released.
That's what I base it off to. Is it's all about the values.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some really charming people out there that I wouldn't work with. There's nothing wrong with them, but sort of maybe they prefer that they're very price driven. We can't be very price driven because we manufacture most of our stuff in the UK. Or they could be sort of quite demanding regarding bespoking everything, which is also something we don't like getting into anymore because it's not very profitable. And so there's all those types of things. There are companies out there for those people. So I have a very good relationship with a lot of companies that I can refer people to, and I'm not scared of passing the business on, or finding, if I don't have something, saying, well, why don't you try eco trading down the road, or why don't you pop into Jennifer Manners, or why don't you pop into Martin or Julian down on the ground floor. We're all good friends, believe you me. What happens is, if somebody does come in and gets a bit stroppy, everybody's on the phone to each other saying, this one's stroppy, be careful, they're on their way to you.
Exactly. So, I mean, everyone knows.
People think that everybody's, we're all great rivals, but we certainly not. We all sit around and have a glass of bubbly at the parties and have a good laugh about things. So,
well, that seems to be the way. Whenever I speak to new clients and I say, we do some work for Robert Langford, and oh, Rob, yeah, I know Rob. Everyone seems to know you, and there's such a good network going around.
Well, there has to. I mean, what you've got to do. I mean, if you don't have a good name out there, and this is a small industry and it's a cottage industry. You get a bad name, it's tickets. You just
exactly.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, don't. On the other hand, don't push me. If somebody's going to push me, then they'll get the boot.
No, no.
If they're being unprofessional, unfair, or upsetting my staff, but if we're at fault, I will put my hands up and I'll sort it out. And I think that's the most important thing, especially with the demanding customers in London. You could be firm enough that they know that you're not a pushover, but you could be fair enough that they know that they can trust you. And I think that's probably the best way to put it. And you know what? As long as the product pops along and is a decent quality, that's secondary. It's sort of they did this whole thing selling the sizzle and not the steak. One of the talks at Small Business MBA thing, and that's our sizzle, is selling trust.
All right. So what would you describe in your industry currently that you've been seeing and facing, speaking to loads of different interior designers on a regular basis, daily basis, that you see in your showrooms? Are the latest trends popping up in 2023 or at the end of 2022 in your market specifically?
Do you know what I'm hearing all the time now is sustainability. And how sustainable is this? Where is it coming from? How do you dispose of the packaging? How much of the packaging is recyclable? Is there an end of life plan for this product? For this product, for instance, if some of the stuff goes into home staging jobs, etc., the product might not be there for more than sort of 2 years. What happens to it afterwards? Is there a company like the Haynes Collection that can take it on to move it through so that it doesn't go into landfill? All of that is starting to happen, and it's something that we all have to concentrate on, to the fact of, do I turn my showroom lights off at night? This is what we're starting to do to make to become more sustainable. Obviously, furniture is made from foam. Foam comes from oil. So I mean,
Exactly.
There's not an awful lot.
It's really hard to make the big changes, but I think if you can show you making small changes, people like that, and
no, absolutely. I mean, every little bit that you can do. I mean, electric vans. I mean, we're looking into that. What surprises me is I don't think the government gives you any sort of advantage on electric vans at the moment. Electric cars in business,
really
yes,
small. It's really small.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to buy an electric van now for deliveries, you're looking at £60,000. It's a lot of money compared to the diesel van, which is maybe around 30 to 40, brand new.
And I mean, and you'd think with electric cars for business, you're getting this incredible sort of kickbacks, but they should be doing it for vans. So there's all sorts of things like that. And I think what we're all going to have to be doing is concentrating on talking about our sustainability, and where we're not sustainable or how we want to be sustainable. I think there's going to be a movement away from purchasing from Far East Asia, which is quite funny because I'm about to go there tomorrow morning to go and pay fest for the first time since COVID happened.
You're going there to say sorry, but no thanks.
I'm going to see a mutual friend of ours actually. So,
okay. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, now I'm going to go. But I do think, I mean, I don't know what's happening politically in China and their tie-up with Russia, but I think there's going to be a bit of a kickback with that this year. I think that's going to happen. So we'll see. And I also see a slight sort of loosening of the whole Brexit free trade thing starting to happen. And I think in a couple of years' time, that will be something we don't really bother about too much anymore. I have a feeling. My mouth to God's ears, hopefully, but which means that dealing with Europe becomes a lot easier again. So
this is the tricky part too. When you talk about sustainability, when you start moving closer to the UK, like you already know, the costs go up with manufacturing, and obviously everyone knows that, and that's where the challenge lies.
To a certain degree, because what you can do is you can also diversify your range, because you don't have to do the minimum order quantities. So, I mean, for instance, last week I do a selection of case goods out in Portugal. And last week I was over there and I was having a look at some new product. And what's really nice is I said, well, I can trial that with maybe 4 or 6 pieces.
Oh, great.
Whereas buying from the Far East, you'd have to trial that with, say, 24 pieces. So I said 4 or 6 pieces. Let's do 3 colors in it and let's see what happens. And, if it sticks and people like it, then you start bringing the stock in. That's the other side of what people are wanting at the moment. They're wanting it now. The urgency started about 5 or 6 years ago. The urgency started kicking in, and I think it's because there's so many second home owners in London, and I think what they do is when they're in London, they want to see it, sign it off, and get it done, and then get out again. And they're very busy people with multiple homes around the world.
It does surprise me sometimes when dealing with the type of clients in the that the interior designers are catering to, the end client, that are very demanding people sometimes, that they are sometimes willing to wait for suppliers that sometimes take 24 weeks for their goods. It sometimes doesn't make sense how you got a very demanding client paying a lot of money for something, willing to wait so long. And that gap is starting to close now, where they're not wanting to do that anymore.
Yeah, I think if it's the right thing, I mean, there are companies out there that do incredible products. That's that they're brands that are incredibly handcrafted, and you wait. Then the people who understand that wait for it. But what I am finding is that the level of customers that we deal with are probably sort of recently wealthy, or maybe one or 2 generations down the line, and they prefer to get things done chop, which is why we've got £500,000 worth of stock in a warehouse at any given time.
Well, that is the thing, is these companies that are starting to do that, investing in storage long term, that can have stock ready to fire out on quick deliveries, that are making the difference, that are getting the more sales in, because and it's also having the showroom that you have in Design Centre and on Kings Road. Having those there can also help with that quick fire deliveries of items that people say, we need this now.
Well, we've certainly found that it's quite nice being in this area. I know there's a lot of companies, a lot of our peers that aren't, and I feel that we do have an advantage, because even though we do have the rents, we certainly, I think, gain a lot more of the market share, because people can come in and sit on a chair or walk past and sort of come in and chat, and they say, oh, we're working on this. I say, oh, do you know about this? Or Do you know that we do this, or what about our beds? And a lot of people often say, "Oh, you do beds." I mean, it's how we started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that type of thing does happen, and yeah, I mean, our walk-ins for interior designers are vast, actually. So that's a good thing. So yeah, so I would say sustainability and available products, short lead times.
Okay, so what would you say is one thing in your journey that you did not expect?
Yeah, this is a difficult. I don't know. I didn't expect managing people to be as hard as it would be. I think that is, and I think if you speak to any business owner, I think they'll all say the same. For number one, you don't realize how lonely it is until you actually speak to another business owner, and it's almost like you found this
best friend.
this wanderer in a desert who's got exactly the same pain as you do. And I mean, I get
There's
together
another one.
Yeah, I get together with quite a few peers, and we have sort of therapy sessions. And it can be from our industry. I've got a great friend called Wendy who runs a horse riding holiday company, who's brilliant. I mean, whenever I've got we'll get together and have lunch and have a and just talk. And we all bring our management accounts. We look at each other's figures and we look at each other's businesses.
That's amazing.
And we say, this is, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's what's really nice. Yeah, what was unexpected. I didn't expect it to be as lonely as it was, and that's why I quite like doing that peership. And I didn't expect managing people would be as difficult as it would be, because I suppose I was unmanageable. So why would I expect anybody else to be manageable?
No, I definitely think, you got that. A lot of people are getting it wrong nowadays. Stephen Bartlett was talking about it recently, about this thing about imposter syndrome. When people start businesses, or they start their journey and they feel all this fear and they feel this loneliness, but it's not such a bad thing. It's just putting yourself in that uncomfortable environment is a good thing. And you just got to trust your gut and trust yourself and the process, and it will get better. But having that networking available is so important. I can always encourage it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's always, if you can sort of get a couple of you in a room and just sit down and just talk, it is like, it's the best therapy. And imposter syndrome every single day when I get up, every day. But then I went to a talk with 3 very, very top interior design suppliers and interior designers at Focus last year here. And they were asked the question, they all said every day.
Yeah.
I thought, how can you, you're like the top of the tree. How can you have imposter syndrome? But everybody does, it's sort of like
exactly.
People are rich and never rich enough.
The people need to understand it's a good thing, because it's that uncomfortable environment that makes us better.
Yeah.
But people sometimes see it as a bad thing, and it feels bad, but it's not necessarily is.
I think people that can deal with it should be entrepreneurs, and people who don't deal with it should work for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting
it. I don't mean that in a bad way. There have to be there have to be people that quite like coming to work and
that's having a certain traits, isn't it?
And having stability. Whereas I've had no stability is like that in my life since 2003. And I wouldn't want it in any other way. It's bad when there's a quiet month, but we get through it.
So COVID hit. How did that affect your business? And now that we've come out of it, I know that you've now added another showroom in the design center. How's that going for you?
Well, I mean, COVID hit, and it was wonderful. It sounds awful, but it was wonderful for us.
Okay.
I don't mean to disrespect.
What happened to you guys in that period?
I don't mean to disrespect anybody who lost people, etc. But I mean, it was a very, very strong time for our business, because COVID hit and we had a warehouse full of furniture and the ability to deliver it. And thank heavens, Mr. Sunak put together the furlough scheme, and of course, myself, like many other businesses, furloughed everyone because we thought that we were all in for the long haul. And 3 weeks later, one came back, and then another week later, another one came back, and like sort of a couple of months down the line, they were all back. And we were busy right the way through. I think everybody took time to have a deep breath. Everybody was at home. People were doing things. we were allowed to operate out of our warehouses. Obviously, we couldn't have the showrooms open, but the warehouses could operate. The designers knew our products, and what was really nice was when factories were closed, nobody was making anything. We had a warehouse full of stock, and we sold it.
Great.
We
And
sold
so did you operate an online sort of website?
No,
retail?
we don't have an online presence. We have a we do. I mean, we have a website, but we don't have an online shop. But I mean, our designers would carry on placing orders, but just online. And we were probably delivering 5, 6, 7, 8 deliveries a day.
Amazing. And they obviously knew your product already, and they knew what they get, so it wasn't a big thing. It kind of makes you think, do we need this showroom? No, but you do.
I know. You've got to have the showroom, otherwise you don't get invited.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's really good that you that you could still keep operating.
I mean, we kept operating all the way through. Obviously, we were very respectful that people worked from home. It taught us that people could work from home a lot more. It helped. We got set up with sort of phones, etc. So everybody's got a desk at home that you plug your phone in. It's like you're in the office, which is quite good because I can go back to South Africa now and work from there.
Yeah, that's great.
Maybe we'll see when they sort the electricity on.
Exactly.
But it was.
The other part is that you could then have people come to work and you could afford to pay them. You didn't have to fire anyone. You didn't have to let go, and that's really good.
That was the worst when it all happened in that week of uncertainty before they started with the support loans and the, I mean, we always have a bit of contingency in the company, but that contingency of, if it's your entire operating budget per month, doesn't go very far. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, at some point, I'm going to have it, and I did. I mean, we did sit down as a company and we had an honest conversation. And I must admit, to a man and a lady, or to a person, my team were amazing. And they all said, look, whatever happens, happens. If we have to go, we understand it.
Okay.
And which was, they're great people. I mean, I was almost, when you're having that conversation with your team, I was almost in tears. I mean, I couldn't sleep.
Exactly. It's very scary.
And they were really cool about it. And then, thank heavens, I mean, I think we were really well supported as small and medium businesses during this. I know that a lot of people feel probably out there that they probably weren't supported during the COVID thing, but I really think, from me, and I'm no supporter of this government, but I think they certainly pulled out the stops for
that's good
for small and medium business.
Okay, so could you give us an example of some good advice that you've had, and also an example of some bad advice you've had?
The good advice comes from Bernie de la Conya, and she would say to me, I would come to her with a problem, and she would always turn around to me and she'd say, just do it. And I'd say, but you should just do it. Go do it, Rob. Just be Nike, go do it.
Exactly.
Just do it. And you know what? She was absolutely right. Basically, if you get up in the morning and you start creating barriers for doing things, or I can't do this because, or we can't do this because, or whatever, or I'm not going to do this because, you may as well just go back to bed. Just do it. Get up, figure it out and do it.
Right.
Bad advice? Oh, I don't think we can afford to buy the stock, or I think we're about to hit an economic turn down. Let's get rid of a showroom. Let's shrink. And I've had this in the past. Yes. Do you know what? There's always a way.
That's it.
There's always a way. And my sister, who's our financial manager, who's amazing, and God knows how she's kept us afloat during some bad times. There's now, I mean, February is always a difficult month cash flow wise. And I was looking at the cash flow and I was thinking, oh my God, we're gonna have to get some sales in. And she just emailed, she said, oh, for God's sake, calm down. It's been worse with this. Of course it's going to be fine. Just sort of take a breath and look at your life 10 days down the line. And she was spot on right.
That's
good. It's if you're good and you work hard and the opportunities are going to be there. It's just always just the way that it is. Fingers crossed.
It is so important. You've obviously had some time now to get really good people in your business. Yeah. So that's obviously been really, really helpful. But what would you say is your view on your company's culture, and how do you always seem to have such happy and positive people working for you?
I read this just before I read it to Philippa, who actually she killed herself laughing. I think maybe they're just slightly sedated. I don't know. But you know what? I mean, I'm very, very proud of the fact that most of our staff have more than 5 years service with us, and quite a few of them more than 10 years service with us.
Amazing.
In this day and age, that is quite phenomenal. And I don't know what it is. Could it be? I think I'd sort of let people get on with things. I'm a control freak, but every small business owner is a control freak.
Yeah.
But I do try to step away from that. I'm not the type of person that says, "Oh, you've got 28 days leave or 20 days this year. Oh, you're going over to 21. You can't be doing that." Yeah, we don't do that type of thing here. This is not. We're a family.
Yes.
It's not the type of thing that we do. It's give and take. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of,
yes.
If the company does well, we all do well. If the company does badly, everybody knows that the company's doing badly. But I'm not going to go. I don't believe in this being a dictator or a tyrant.
I think, it comes, just listening to you, it sounds like you have a very transparent relationship with your employees. And I think that is also very important.
I remember working for a company where, like 5 times a day, people would scurry through the offices and go into the manager's office and the door would close. And it's the worst thing that you could ever do in a company. I thought, I just was like, oh, what the hell's going on there? So, we're about to hit the wall, nobody's going to have a job, I'm going to eat tonight. Yeah. I'm extremely transparent to the team. They all know exactly where we get things. They all know exactly how much things cost. They know exactly how much the business makes. And if we're hitting a cash flow hole, they know that we're hitting a cash flow hole. Everybody pulls together. If we're flush and a couple of good things are happening, that's great. If new product comes in, everybody needs to sit on it. If one person doesn't like it, maybe it doesn't get launched.
Everyone's rowing in the same boat. Everyone's rowing in the same direction.
There is that sort of that scenario of us all putting the oar in the right direction in the boat.
Yes.
I think that sort of you'll never get everybody in the right seats in the boat.
Oh no, definitely. I think you're only going to get it right about 80% of the time to have what near perfect. You're never going to get 100%.
And I think some of them are trying to drown each other over the back every now and again. Yeah, I think I should be a lot more bossy. I don't mean bossy, but I should do a lot more sort of good business practice management style things. But I don't think I'm a very good manager. So I just like.
It seems like you're doing well there.
I like us to all go for dinner and sort of
exactly
have a chat with each other. And every now and again, there's always going to be tensions, and you just sort of stick those two people in a room and let them sort it out. And they seem to be happy.
That's good.
I hope they're happy, because I used to hate working for people, so I'd really hope that they don't feel the same. I hope that they sort of coming to it. And if they did have a dream and they wanted to pursue it, I would certainly be the person that would support them to do that. So.
Great. So what would you say is one of the coolest or best jobs you've ever done?
It's through Robert Langford. We're doing one at the moment in the old war offices. And if you watched Skyfall, Daniel Craig was standing overlooking Whitehall with a flag, etc. And it's that apartment.
Oh, nice.
And it's going to go for quite a lot of money. And we're very, very proudly doing the upholstery and headboards and stuff there. So that's going to be
great.
Cool. So that's quite a fun one. I mean, we've just started sort of getting these slightly juicier things that we've never quite got before. So that's exciting to me. And a couple of other things we've been involved with a lot of, especially during COVID, was a lot of the charity rooms. Laura Hammett did an amazing room for charity where she raised money, where she auctioned off a room. So we were involved with that, and a couple of rooms for like sort of the NHS. I know everybody would say this, we gave furniture to the NHS, aren't we good? But I mean, it was nice to be involved with stuff like that.
Yeah. And so how did they do that room, and how was that charity organized?
Well, what Laura did is she auctioned a room for somebody, and they bought.
Was that online, or did people come and see it?
I think it was online and or on Instagram, and then somebody bought her services, and then we all went in and we did beds, I think, and I'm not sure. I think we did a headboard, and then there was Taylor House. There was an NHS room where we provided some chairs, etc. They just created a rest area for the nurses, especially during that period of time. And I think there were a couple of others that we got involved with. Those were nice things.
Really nice.
It's nice to do nice stuff like that, because there's all sorts of other stuff going on, and you're chasing the buck, etc.
Helps you sleep at night.
Oh, every now and again you get this nice stuff. I think,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's what I could do with that stock that's not selling. I can put it in there, make myself feel good.
Yeah. Okay, so what we do on the podcast is we also do this 10 quick fire questions. And what it means is that we're going to ask you 10 questions,
Okay.
and you need to try your best just to give us one word answers.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't look at these, by the way. So
Okay, well, that's good then. It'll give you a bit of surprise. Okay, so what word best describes your design style?
simple.
What is the most important thing to think about when choosing a fabric to go with a piece of furniture?
Durability.
What would you choose, accessories or furniture?
Furniture.
Color or lighting?
Lighting.
Your favorite texture?
Oh, linen.
Describe your dream room.
Oh,
Are you allowed to use more than one word?
you know what? I did basically anything that's I'm just trying to think. Oh, this is so difficult. I don't want to mention designers, but I don't want to upset my other customers. A little touch of Africa, darkish walls, nice, really comfortable, slightly lighter furniture that's dog proof, and probably a patterned carpet, something sort of, yeah, that sort of just a little bit New Yorky.
Nice.
I like the New Yorky look, that sort of classic New York look.
Okay, another one that's you don't have to give a one word answer. Have you got an interior design hack that you can share?
Oh, this is, do you know what? This is, I always say you can get away with a lot with a bit of wallpaper.
Okay.
Or a bit of paint. And I mean, I've just recently sort of painted our showroom here in a new color, and it's changed everything in the showroom. It's just
I
amazing.
think you're right. Wallpaper can sometimes, it always wows people when you put it in a room.
Absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't have to cost a lot. And so I think that works very well. Also, keeping the basics neutral and sort of accessorizing with the color. And
okay, your favorite color to work with?
It's all good. It's going to be the graziers, the khakis, the browns, that sort of thing. It's sort of, yeah, I'm a boy from Africa. It's going to be the earth colors.
A source of inspiration.
Bernie de Laconia.
And last question: minimalism or maximalism?
A little bit of both. I love. Yeah, I like a little bit of maximalism, but not too much.
Okay, so I'm not going to keep you for too much longer. Thank you so much for your time. You've been really generous. Just before we close off, what would you say is your best advice you would give to a 20-year-old Robert?
Become a plumber. I would say, yeah, probably, yeah. Don't, yeah, you don't think that you're as fat as you think you are. Personally, but yeah, just do it. You know, just
do
get it done.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, don't be scared. Go and do it. You know, you are better than you think you are.
Okay, so where can people find you online? What would your socials be? And
well, we're on Instagram at Robert Langford London.
Okay.
It's looked after by another South African named Amy for us.
Okay.
We are online at robertlangford.co.uk. And we've got showrooms on the corner of Kings Road and Lotts Road. There's a violent deep green building on the corner there, and we're the shop on the corner of that in the building.
Can't miss it.
No, you can't miss it. You can see it from space.
Yeah.
And we're in Chelsea Harbour Design Centre, South Dome, second floor.
All right, great. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, until I think yeah, we're going to be doing some business again next week, and I hope you enjoy your flight tomorrow to
thank you.
South Asia.
Morning.
How long are you going for?
Just for 6 days. So it's the Vietnamese, it's the Ho Chi Minh Fair, and it's the Jakarta Fair, and
amazing.
Hopefully one day sitting at a pool if I'm lucky.
Yeah, you got to mix the business and the pleasure a little bit when you go to these places.
Been very handling those things for a while. So
perfect. Okay, thanks, Robert. And then we'll sign it off now.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Cheers, then. All right. Cheers. Bye.